So to get started, I'm going to give us a quick campaign update about where we're at. And I'm going to share another PowerPoint here. So give me a second. There's your welcome screen. So I just want to give everybody a quick welcome. Well, we've already welcomed you all. So campaign update. So this has been a lot quieter month in July. Of all that we've done. I know so many of you were so busy with all of us taking action all through the legislative session, which took another month than expected, but we did achieve some big victories, move forward, bring it home, and win some other good things that advanced our vision that all people have a home. So, and we know that because of the pandemic and all of the crises happening over the last year, the legislature has been endlessly meeting every month. They've stopped that now that the governor has given up his emergency powers, and things have kind of settled down and not a lot has happened. That's been good for our campaign as a long-term campaign fighting, knowing that it may take a year or two or three to win. We need this kind of time to set up and keep building our energy and to figuring out how we move forward. So a lot of this past month has been planning and getting ready to really deepen our base and starting to take some important actions. So I'll name three things that have been happening that I think are exciting, that we're excited to share with all of you. So the first is internally in Beacon, we have been doing a lot of work to figure out how do we really live into the full vision of this campaign and really have the capacity to do all we want to do. And through all that and through a lot of budgeting and planning, we're excited that we're planning to. These haven't formally gotten posted yet, but we are moving forward and hiring 2 new positions to help support policy organizing and Bring It Home Minnesota. So those are exciting ones and have been approved by the board to move forward. And some of those are internal to organize us more, and some are forward facing. So the 2 positions, there's a VP of policy and organizing. Most of you don't know this and it's not super important, but internally, policy, myself and the organizers have been in different departments. We're coming together because we work so closely together and want to make this happen. So just some more administration, hold all the big mission we're trying to move forward. And then secondly, a campaign manager to really focus and dig in and support our work on Bring It Home Minnesota. So that person will work really closely with me and really try to build out all of the work we're trying to do, especially with allied organizations moving statewide, really deepening our partnership with so many people across the state to make this a much bigger thing, and to really support all the work all of you are doing in your congregations to grow us as well with your congregational organizers, which is our second big thing that we're gearing up for, which is the InReach in congregations. And I know many of you are probably already thinking about this, working about it, signing up to be part of it, to go out and do one-to-ones. But if those who haven't heard about this, we are gearing up for a huge push in all of the congregations that are part of Beacon to go and listen and talk with thousands of more people. And we're training people to go do one-to-ones, which is a kind of wonky organizing talk to say they're going to go have conversations to really get to know people, learn their interests, and see how and if they want to fit into the campaign in some way and support the work, have stories to say about housing or homelessness, and really welcome them in to see and build relationships across our congregations. And these are the really key building blocks of how you build the people's movement to really move an issue forward and have the numbers of people, which is our power, to make a difference and really move this forward. So this is a really key season. And I know it can seem like a lot of work, but it's a really joyful work of really going out and building some really exciting relationships, which I think will bring the people power and people joy and just all the new faces and energy into the campaign as we move forward into much more work and much more energy to really Bring It Home possible. And then lastly, just want to name for all of you, and this very much links to our action we're doing later today, is that one of the things we started this past legislative session was the endorsing organizations. So we have 31 organizations that are part of the campaign, Bring It Home Minnesota, who are endorsing it. And we've been having the presidents and executive directors, the high level folks at the organizations, join meetings where we bring them all together to meet with high level folks at the state legislature or at different places to really try to use their power to move this campaign forward. So we had a bunch of those that were really successful. We're now shifting our focus really over the summer and into the fall and winter, and all of you will be a part of this, of really working towards winning the support of Governor Walz and how the Governor Walz and his whole administration, so all of his agencies, really support Bring It Home and are a part of our effort for this. So we've talked to them before. Many of you have been at meetings with them. They're not against it, but they haven't fully embraced it. And we think it will take a little more work to get them fully there. So some of the meetings we're starting to do with these allied groups is meet with some high level folks in the administration, including Jennifer Ho, who's the Commissioner of Housing, and then one of Governor Walz's top aides, a deputy chief of staff, is who we're arranging a meeting. So those are meetings that are happening. But our action today and all of your advocacy will start as we call the governor later to support those so that they're hearing it from all sides and to move and feel that this is something they need to get more and more behind. So those are the campaign updates and the actions that are starting to happen, and excited for all of you to be a part of those, all of these. So things you can do out of this is once those jobs are posted in mid-August, please help us recruit great people for them. We're looking to really get that out, the job postings out there, and really have a huge diversity of people applying to find the best candidates. Please be super engaged in the inReach, and our action today will really help with our new push around Governor Walz. So I'm going to stop. That was all my update and lots of talking from Ben. I'm going to welcome our two guests today and excited for them to be here. So we have Kizzy Downey from, she's the CEO of Model Cities, and then Virginia Brown, who's the VP of Development at Aon. So Kizzy, why don't we start with you, and we'll hear from you first, and then we'll shift to Virginia next. So Kizzy, are you there?
I am. Can you guys hear me?
Great, great. Yes, welcome. Thanks so much for being here. And just so folks know, I know not everyone's super familiar with Model Cities. Could you just say a little bit about Model Cities, what you do, and then why you decided to endorse and what you're excited about in the Bring It Home Minnesota campaign?
Sure. Well, good morning again, everybody. And thank you, Ben, for the invitation to join the folks at Beacon. I'm really excited to be here. For those of you who are not familiar, Model Cities is a 54-year-old nonprofit organization that's located right here in St. Paul, Minnesota. The organization was originally founded around addressing health access issues among low-income individuals in the Summit University neighborhood. And so a lot of people are familiar with Model Cities because we were a health center or a primary healthcare center for a number of years. But that is no longer who we are. For the past, since around the late 90s, Model Cities has shifted its focus, still focusing on access, but not necessarily health. Today, our work really addresses economic access issues for folks. So we do a lot of work around housing and homelessness. So we operate an overnight emergency shelter in downtown St. Paul called Safe Space. We also provide supportive housing and we're an affordable housing developer. We also work in the space of home ownership. So we are a HUD approved housing counseling agency. So we help folks get prepared for home ownership. And we work with youth who are involved with the juvenile justice system. And so that's a little bit about who Model Cities is today. And the reason that Model Cities is, so we've been working with Beacon and others who are leading this work around the Bring It Home Minnesota bill. And one of the reasons that we're excited about being a part of this is because we truly believe as well that housing stability is one of the foundations of any individual, any family's ability to have long-term wellness and economic security. And so that is why Model Cities is really invested in this work. And we know that that is housing stability is important for everyone, but it's especially important for people who have low income and people of color who are often cost burdened, and they're literally one paycheck away from falling deeper and deeper into poverty. And so unfortunately, I mean, for organizations like Beacon and Model Cities and a lot of the other ones that are doing phenomenal work around housing, our system is still not adequate in addressing the housing needs of many people who just aren't able to get their basic needs met because they don't have adequate housing. And so that's one of the reasons that we're involved in. We truly believe that the solution that Bring It Home Minnesota is putting forth, we believe that that is a good solution for our children, our families, and our community members. So I just want to say thank you to each of you who are supporting this work and for making sure that the work that is moving forward through this initiative will be a better solution for our community. I do believe it's transformative, and I do believe it'll bring housing stability and housing equity to our most vulnerable community members. So I will end by saying I look forward to continuing this work with Beacon. Model Cities looks forward to continuing this work with Beacon and other organizations. And I look forward to the day when housing opportunities can be made equitable for all people and all families living in Minnesota. So thank you very much.
Yay, great, Kizzy. Folks are supportive, and it's great to hear from you and see. And why we're having, I didn't say this, Virginia and Kizzy on, is just really want to give visibility to all of you who've been advocates on one side of this campaign. I'll give you visibility to all the organizations now who are part of this and the reasons and why and the energy they bring to this campaign, which you're clearly seeing through Kizzy and you'll soon see through Virginia. But I think there's a lot of it, and I think we can all keep supporting each other as we move forward. So thanks so much, Kizzy. Great and wonderful to have you part, and we really look forward to working with you more as well. So Virginia Brown, I just want to welcome you from Aon, and if you wanted to jump in and say a little bit about, if folks haven't heard about Aon, who Aon is, and then what excites you about this campaign, why Aon is a part of it.
Sure. Hopefully everybody can hear me. Hello, it's lovely to be joining you this morning. I'm Virginia Brown, like Ben said. I'm the Vice President of Advancement over at Aon. Aon is another one of both Kizzy and Ben's peers in the marketplace here. And, you know, I'll just say every now and again, somebody will be like, aren't you all competitors? And I'm like, we need about 30 more organizations building housing because there's just not enough. So thanks to all of you for being on this call. Thanks, Kizzy, for that great intro. And you had a lot of great comments. I'll try not to mimic too much of what you already said. But Aon is, if you don't know who Aon is, we are a nonprofit also in the community. We do affordable housing is the easiest way to say it, but we buy and we build and we manage affordable housing. We have 58 properties across the Twin Cities of Minnesota. That's exactly 5,660 homes in our portfolio. So we're providing home to about 15,000 people each year in the Twin City areas. Let's see about this campaign. Ben, you know, Aon is so glad to be a part of it. This is really, really important work. We had at Aon 3 to 4 top legislative priorities for the 2020 session that of course we're through. And this was one of them. And we're so grateful to Beacon's leadership and all of your participation on this. when I think about why Aon is part of it, Kizzy, I can't really say it better than Kizzy did, but the reality is there are too many in our community who can't afford a decent home. The reality is that 1 out of every 4-ish people in Minnesota actually get the subsidy they could qualify for because there's not enough subsidy dollars available. Aon is really well known for doing a lot of preservation of NOAH housing, which is naturally occurring affordable housing. These are properties that already exist. They were built in the 50s, 60s, 70s, and to be honest, they're getting kind of crappy. And what Aon is doing is trying to buy them before market rate developers do, so that we can keep all the people who already live there and are paying relatively low rents. We can keep them there and make sure it stays affordable into the future, as well as do all the upgrades and capital investment that are needed so that those buildings can really last. The trick with NOAH housing is that the people who live there, it's naturally occurring, those words are used because those folks don't have subsidies. And what we're talking about with the Bring It Home campaign is getting everyone a subsidy who needs it, right? So as Aon has been doing a lot of acquisition in this space, we've actually acquired about 3,000 units of NOAH housing in the last 4 to 5 years. We came in assuming that the folks who were paying these lower rents, just because they were naturally whatever their geography is and in the state of the buildings, that they were okay. But the reality is they're not. Most of them are paying 50%, sometimes even 60% of their income on their housing. And I'm sure you all know that means that they are severely cost burdened. It means they don't have exactly what's been said before. They don't have the dollars to withstand even a minor emergency, whether that's a flat tire or a health crisis or anything like that. Subsidies would mean a lot of these folks would be eligible to get enough money so they're only paying about 30% of their income on rent. And that's what we all need to be able to survive and thrive in this world. So to me and to Aon, the Bring It Home campaign is about getting everybody to a place where they even have the chance to succeed, as opposed to just clawing their way from day to day, trying to make it just to tomorrow. That's not a way for anybody to really succeed. And I know that everyone on this call really believes that too. I'm so grateful for everyone's partnership here. And just like Kizzy said, Aon is excited to be part of this team and excited to continue this work and hopefully get even more engaged as we pick up momentum, getting some of these meetings and some of these influential people in our community really on board with this project. So Ben, that's all I've got, unless I missed anything I was supposed to talk about.
No, great. You both did wonderful. Thank you so much, Kizzy and Virginia. Really are excited. And as I said, we want to just display the joy and energy you both have for the campaign and for all of your work and your passion in your work. And there's a lot more of these folks who are supporting Bring It Home as well. So as Virginia said, we're not competitors. So go Google Model City St. Paul or Aon and please support them as well and all their good work because it all needs to happen. And we're really excited to keep developing and figuring out how we partner with all these organizations more. And I think that will become more and more visible as we move forward and as we figure it all out, which has been a lot of the planning we're trying to do and are excited to keep doing that with both you, Kizzy, and Virginia and all of us here. So thank you so much for that. Let's give them all a virtual clap here and for the energy and share that with all of them. So great. Well, thanks so much, Virginia and Kizzy. We'll move on with the call. Appreciate you being here. So we'll shift to our last section today, which is our action. And as I previewed earlier, our action today is to connect with some of the higher level actions we're doing with the Allies group on really starting to bring this message to Governor Walz and asking for his full support for it. And we've been a little soft and nice about it because he's been pretty busy, as all of you know, over the last 2 years with things going on, but has always been a huge advocate for housing and has been a huge advocate for trying to end homelessness. And so we really think that with some more advocacy and energy, and if he really sees the groundswell of support, he could really be about this. And so today's action, you can find it in the email that you got yesterday afternoon or in the chat. If you want to open the chat now, there's a link to the action right now, which is instructions about how to call Governor Walz. And I'll share that in just a second here. Let me open it up for you and show you what it looks like and we're going to ask you to do. So if you click on the link, you'll see this form pop up, which is the August rent is due. So all you have to do is enter in your name and your email. So if you go ahead and do that, that's always just the first easy step. So this one is a little different and calling on all of you to be a little creative and use some of your own energy and expertise on this to craft your own voicemail to the governor. So I didn't write one all out for you this time. I did give you a suggested outline, and if you're brand new or feel a little overwhelmed, you could just say the outline and you'll be great. Or we would love if the governor gets a lot of original messages or hears really from you and your voices about why you care about this. So if here the number is listed there, most likely you'll get a voicemail. Sometimes they have an operator pick up and speak. But those are just hired staff who answer the phones all day and who record these messages down. So either way, it's very easy to say, I'm here and I want to leave a message on housing for the governor. I do want to warn you, the voicemail is very short and does cut you off at a certain, and for those who have done this action before, you'll know it cuts you off. It does allow you, I think, you to re-record the message if you got cut off in mid-sentence and want to try again. But just to know, try to write a very simple, it's like a minute or less. So I'd ask your action today then is to go down to this box and write out a little message for the governor. It's really important to always say your name and where you live, that you're part of the Beacon Collaborative is great, or your own organization if you're here with another one and are part of something, but saying why you're a part of Bring It Home is great. And then why you believe that all people should have a home. So why do you care about this campaign? And just to name, right, we can name endless stats, and Kizzy and Virginia brought up some really key ones, and there's lots of statistics and ways to say this. But what's most important actually for the governor, like they have policy staff who can look those stats up and they know them as well. What they move on is constituents like you saying why it's important to you, because that's what moves them, right? They're politicians. And so they need to hear why this is important to you and why you want this to happen. So if you can say a stat or a reason or cite something you've heard, but really speaking just from your heart and saying in a sentence or a phrase, like, it's really important to me because I believe all people should have a home, and this is key to my community, or whatever you want to say it quickly, but say it. And I think that's the most important. And then making a clear ask is the last thing that's always really key. So they know what you're asking for, and making sure you get there. So say, I'm asking you to support Bring It Home Minnesota, a campaign to provide rent subsidies for all Minnesotans that need it. So that line's very important. And if you could make sure you get that into the voicemail, that would be great. So again, you can write out your script right here, stay on this page, make the phone call. Then after you're done, if you could click this box and say, yes, I called the governor. Secondly, we would love, since you're all creating really amazing messages about why you care about Bring It Home Minnesota, we would love to be able to use those, if you're okay with that, in sometimes future things where we like to quote supporters to saying, I care about Bring It Home because X. So if you're okay with us using your message, you can click this box. An example of that would be if we did a little social media post saying, here's 10 reasons why people like Bring It Home and who the people are. If you're not comfortable with that, that's all right as well. You just don't click the box and we won't use it. If there's anything else you want us to know about Rent is Due or anything that didn't work for you, please let us know as well. We really appreciate that because we're always learning on these calls, or if something went poorly or if it went great and something's working great, let us know that as well. And then you just have to hit submit and you're done. So that's your action today, is to call. So go to the action page, bring it up, call the governor, or first, number one, create your own little script in that box, call the governor, leave that as a voicemail or tell the operator the script. Click, you did it. Click if you're comfortable with us using your message in the future, and then submit that to us so we know you took action. And that's really important, everyone. If you can make sure to fill out the form and hit submit. I know it can be a little confusing sometimes. This one hopefully doesn't have let's send you away. So if you could submit, that would be really important, because it's really important for us to know how many people took action. It's great to know all of you were here today, but we need to know also how many people took action so we can know how we're making a difference and be tracking how we increase and move that forward. So that's your action today. If you have any questions, you can put them in the chat. We'll leave this meeting open for a little while, and we can chat answers back to you if you need that, or feel free to email myself or reply to the email you got from me yesterday. But else, that's our main action today. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here. We'll be back in September. Please be engaged in your congregational inreach if you're part of a congregation, and please watch. That's the main thing you all can do to keep building our base after you take this action today over this next month. And then we'll be back and we'll give you more updates. Hopefully be moving forward on those 2 hires, and we'll let you know how those meetings are going with the governor's staff, and we'll have more things to tell you about. So thank you so much, and have a great rest of your day. Take care.